Are fake cash offers making it difficult for you to buy a house, or in some cases ruining your chances altogether of being able to buy a property? I have a lot of viewers reaching out to me asking about fake cash offers. So in today's video, we're going to talk about what they are in a little bit more detail. We're going to talk about the idea behind them, why people are doing them, and why it could end up coming to bite you if you do decide to go that route. So the question is, what is a fake cash offer? Many people haven't even heard of the term. Well, it's when a buyer puts an offer in to purchase a property. Say the property is listed for $1 million. They put an offer in for $1 million as a cash buyer, and they provide documentation that says they have the cash to be able to purchase that home. And once their offer gets accepted, that's where the fake part comes in. Then they decide to not buy it cash and actually get a loan on that home. And so you as a viewer are wondering, why would anybody do that? Why would they offer, cash and then change to a loan? And the reason is because you're in a competitive market with multiple offers, people bidding against each other. So you have to do things in order to help your offer stand out. And in this market, people look very highly at cash because it allows you to close quickly. It allows you to avoid having to do appraisals. It just looks really attractive to many sellers out there. So they see an offer that's all cash, they accept it, and then the buyer ends up changing their mind and says, we don't want to do a cash offer, we're actually going to do a loan. So that's where the fake part comes in. But let's talk about how this process works here from a listing agent's perspective. So as a listing agent, I'm listing a property, I get a bunch of offers on that property. Many times the cash offer isn't the one that we choose because it's not the best offer all the way around. So if you're a buyer out there and you're super worried about cash offers, don't get discouraged by a cash offer and don't get discouraged by fake cash offers, because there are things that you can do to stand out against these cash offers, which we'll talk about at the end of this video, things that you can do to help your offer look more attractive. But the cash offer only wins if it's the best offer all the way around, right? If it's the highest offer in many cases, if it has, the shortest close period, the contingencies are shortened and or removed, maybe giving the buyer, rent backs or whatever they're asking for in addition to having that cash. So the cash offer isn't necessarily being chosen because it's cash in many cases. It's being chosen because it's cash in addition to being the strongest offer across the board. So one of the questions I'm getting in this environment is, am I seeing a lot of this? And the answer is no. I haven't seen anyone personally making offers as cash and changing it into a loan after the fact. Now, I know it happens. I've heard of it happening, but I haven't had it happen to me personally. In fact, one of the properties I've recently listed, in fact, the last two I've recently listed, have both had over 20 offers on those properties. And many of them had cash offers as part of, the multiple offer situation. Many of them were cash, but none of them were the strongest offer all the way around. So we never got to that point of accepting a cash offer. But let's talk about how this can come back to bite you in the rear if you're a buyer and you're thinking, well, maybe this is my opportunity to get into a property. I have the reserves, I have the money in the bank to be able to say that I have, the ability to do cash, and then I'm just going to change it. And that's important because when you make a cash offer, you're going to have to provide documentation that shows that you have the cash. As a listing agent, one of the things I want to see when you make an offer on a property is I want to see you have the money, the proof of funds for the down payment. It doesn't matter if you're putting 5% down, 50% down, or in some cases doing a cash offer and 100% of that is coming from cash. I want to see proof from a bank statement, from some sort of asset account statement that shows you have the money for that down payment for that very reason, so that we're not hung up in escrow waiting for you to get the money somehow, right? Borrowing it from a friend or whatever the case is. We want to make sure you have the funds up front so that you can actually purchase the home. And so part of the fake cash is they are providing documentation that shows they have the ability to purchase that home, but they end up changing it to a loan. And that's where I want to talk about how that can bite you in the rear as a buyer. So when you sign a contract to buy a home, it's a contract. One of the items in that contract is how you are going to buy that property with regards to getting a loan, with regards to getting cash, or what have you. And if you say you're getting cash, automatically the appraisal in many times is taken out of the equation, because with a cash offer you don't need an appraisal. When getting a loan, many times you actually need an appraisal unless you get a waiver, but many times you're going to need that appraisal with a loan. And that's part of the reason that cash offers are looked at highly in this environment, because homes are selling far and above the asking price in many cases. But let's say that you do make an offer for a property as a cash buyer. Well, contractually, you're obligated to fulfill that contract based on what you and the seller signed. And you and the seller signed that it was going to be a cash offer. So if you go through the process and the seller finds out that you're doing a loan, the seller can basically call it due and say, hey, no, unless you proceed with the cash offer, we're not moving forward with your loan. So we're not moving forward with your purchase. So if you don't do the loan, we're not moving forward in this situation. And that could put a buyer, in a bind. If they didn't want to use that cash, they might end up having to back out, or might have to end up closing that property with cash when they didn't intend to do that to begin with. So the seller can make it very difficult for you if they want to, because you've signed a contract and agreed on certain terms. And if you don't fulfill those terms, the seller doesn't have to move forward with you, which means that you could fall out of escrow and have to go back looking at other properties. So just understand how that process works. But in many cases, the seller might not even know that you're getting a loan, especially if you get, some sort of waiver on the appraisal, until the end of that transaction, when loan docs show up at escrow and everybody finds out you're getting a loan. Now, if you're one of these people that plans on doing the fake cash offer, changing it to a loan, if you are able to fulfill the timelines in the contract, stick to everything in the contract, it's less likely to be a problem. But as a buyer's agent, if I'm working with a buyer that's saying they're going to do cash, then I'm expecting them to do a cash offer. I'm not expecting them to do a loan without having that conversation with the agent on the other side, saying, hey, listen, my client made a cash offer. They now want to change it to a loan. That way, nobody's blindsided. Nobody is, surprised at the end of the transaction when you switch from, say, cash to a loan. So, is it super common out there? It might be. I'm just not seeing a lot of it. If you plan on doing it, just be careful with it. But as a buyer, I mentioned earlier, don't be so concerned about competing against cash offers. Control what you can control. And what I mean by that is you can control how much you offer. You can control, how short of an escrow period that you can do based on a conversation with your lender. You can control what contingencies you waive or remove or shorten, what things you're asking for a seller to pay for as part of the contract. You can't control what another buyer is going to do, what another buyer is going to offer. So as I mentioned earlier, the cash offer typically only wins when it has equal terms to you and it's cash, or it's a better offer all the way around. If it's just a cash offer but it's not the highest, or it doesn't have the best terms in the contract, chances are the cash offer doesn't win out. And I see way too many people out there at the moment discouraged about competing with cash offers. It shouldn't really be a concern for you, because again, you can control what you can control, and you can't sit there and worry about what someone else is going to do. So if you're a buyer out there, stop worrying about competing against cash offers and focus on what you can control. Now, if you found any value in this video today at all, I would like to ask a favor. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up. Feel free to share it with a friend, somebody out there buying in this market that's worried about cash offers or worried about how to compete in this environment. Again, the things that I mentioned can help you stand out in this environment. So if you're new to the buying process or just getting started, do me a favor, check out this video here. I dive into the process of buying a home in 2022 in more detail. But for now, I appreciate you taking the time to watch. I appreciate the support. Hope to see you again soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.